Okay, so for provisions, discussion 10.21 and 11.29. Okay, so I'll just keep my distance so that will help. Okay. Better discussion. Okay, so with regards to 10.21, it's actually talking about debenture. Okay, so with debenture, you were given the years, the percentage, that is what we call coupon rate. In some discussions, especially in business finance, we are talking about stated rate or nominal interest. Okay, so they call it nominal interest. While that particular 12%, we call it effective interest. If you're familiar with your discussion in business finance, most likely you know what I'm using, those terms that I'm using. Now, what we will do is to determine first how much is the issue price. So if you determine issue price, this is similar to your business finance discussion. You have to determine the present value factor. Okay, so here we have 1 million, okay, for principal payment, and then we have 50,000 for interest payment. That 50,000, you got it from 1 million multiplied by 10%. Okay, so 1 million multiplied by 10%. Now, this is present value factor of 1. Okay, I think that is 20 periods. So 10 years, you will pay interest 6 months, so meaning 20 periods. So for 20 periods, we have the present value factor of that principal, that will be 0.31180. Okay, so you multiply it, you will have the principal's present value, $311,800. Okay, so I will not discuss how to get it. Okay, in financial reporting, we are not focusing on how to determine the present value factor. Okay, so I'll leave it to the business finance discussion. But that is the present value factor of an amount or of 1. They call it PVF1. Okay, for 20 periods. While the present value factor of an annuity, so which means every year or every period you have to pay for it. Okay, for the interest, that is 50. Okay, again, that 1 million multiplied by 10%, divide 2. Divide 2. Okay, because you will pay 6 months interval. Okay, so 11.46992. So the present value of the interest payment will be 573,496. Okay, so clear? Easy to determine. Now again, in financial reporting discussion, I may not be really technical on asking what is the issue price. So most of the times they will give it. Okay, but the present value factor determination, I'll leave it to your business finance lecture. So which means you try to listen to your finance lecturer. Okay, so because they will discuss it. Now, we will only present 4 periods. If you are working in banks, okay, this is the usual thing that they're doing in banks. Okay, of course you have to prepare till the 20 period or 20th period. Okay, so this is similar to what they're using in the bank. Okay, now let's try. We have to put that opening balance. This is the one amount here. We're just moving it here. Okay, and then interest expense. When you try to determine interest expense, you try to multiply it here. So 0.06, that will be the interest expense to be paid. 0.06, okay. So 0.06, so you try to multiply 885,296 multiplied by 0.06. The amount should be this. If not, we are in big trouble, okay? Correct? Okay, it's correct. 53,118 rounded off. Okay. Again, opening balance 885,296 multiplied by 0.06. Again, that 0.06 comes from that 12%, and then because you are paying it, 12% is the rate per annum. Divided by 2, you will have 6%. Okay, so we have 6% here. Now, cash paid, it's easy because we know how much interest payment that we will do, or the nominal rate. Okay, that will be 10% divided 2, that will be 5%. So 5% of 1 million, we will pay 50,000 every 6 months. Okay, every 6 months. Now, to get the increase in liability, you have to determine the difference between these two. Okay, so we have increase in liability $3,180. Okay. Now, this amount you will add here. This amount you will add with this to get this 888,440. Okay, so this one. Okay. You add, then you will have the amount here, and then just the cycle will repeat on and on. At the 20th period, the amount here should be. At the 20th period, the amount should be $1 million. Okay, so that's why we call it amortization. We'll try to determine, okay, how much will it be. Now, as I mentioned to you, and we will discuss in financial instrument, liability, which is long term, is usually measured subsequently at present value and at amortized cost. Okay, so take note of that. We will discuss that in financial instrument. Alright. So again, the cycle will just repeat on and on. Okay? Until the time that you reach the 20th period, and this amount at the last portion should be $1 million. Okay, so let's try to journalize. So in journal entry, we have debit, cash. Again, the company issued bonds. The company issued bonds, so, or debenture. So debit cash and then credit debenture, 885,296. This is the amount. Okay. Now, what you will do on subsequent periods? So in subsequent periods, on 30th June 2019, now you will have to pay interest. Now the interest is the amount that we recognize here, while the payment is the amount that you're supposed to pay. Now here, the credit balance the credit entry for debenture liability here, 3,188, is signifying the increase in liability. Okay? So, debit interest expense, $53,118, and then credit debenture liability, 3,118, and then credit cash, 50,000. Okay? And then again, just repeat the entry until the moment that you reach the 20th period, or the 10 after 10 years. Okay, so just the entry will repeat on and on. Right? Okay. So any question here? Easier. Okay. Now the problem usually that students face will be preparing this. So first instance, I want you to be familiar on how to do this. That's why I spent some of my time in this topic, or in this presentation, to focus on this. Because here, if you don't have the correct figures here, it will affect the journal entry. Okay, so be mindful on how to prepare this. This is important. Okay, all right. So, yeah, that's the liability debenture. Okay, so debenture. In our recorded, not recorded, but in our actual lecture before the lockdown, we had actually discussed about debenture. Okay? Portion where the company had issued bonds. Okay? Technically, there is not much difference, especially if you discuss it in company law. There is not much difference between the debenture and long-term loan and things like that. Okay? So they were treated the same. So, of course, we are using the Australian discussion, and even here, you're familiar with the debenture. But actually, it's only bonds. Okay? Usually, government issued it. Sometimes companies, if they want to increase their funds. Okay? Alright. So this is for bonds or debenture. Now this is for the lease agreement. Okay, for the lease agreement. Now, just again to update you, lease agreement. Nowadays they are trying to restrict the what we call recognition of the operating lease. The operating lease is the usual rental that you know. Okay, so when you rent a space, you're paying monthly rental. That is the operating lease. But the IFRS and AESB, which they adopted the IFRS, okay, they actually restrict using operating lease nowadays. There are only few exceptions so that you can use operating lease. But technically, there is no term now as operating or finance lease. Okay? It's by default finance lease. Now, what's the difference between finance lease and operating lease? Now, in finance lease, the one renting will recognize asset. While in operating lease, they will just pay monthly rental and they don't need to record asset. Okay, so I'll explain that one when we have this problem. Okay, now operating lease, you don't, as a lessee, the one renting the property, you're not recording the asset that you're renting. Okay, similar to let's for example have when we come to Vision City, there are stalls there. Those are common type of operating lease because they are not owning the property, or they will not be able. They are not absorbing the risk and rewards of that place. The risk and rewards of that place is what, of course, bared by or received by Vision City Management or the company. Okay, so are we clear? Now in finance lease, that's different. In finance lease, it's similar to hire purchase. When you, for example, purchase a car, and who will bear the risk and rewards of using the car? Is it the dealer? Let us say you purchase the vehicle from Morocco Motors. Who will benefit from using the car? Is it Morocco Motors or you? When you try to purchase it on installment, Morocco Motors or you? They're the one riding the car. No, you are the one what? Reaping the benefits of using the car, and at the same time you will also bear the risk. What will be the risk? If something happens, you're inside the car, right? If something happens, you will suffer the issues. Okay, so that's an example of finance lease. You're transferring the risk and rewards. Okay, now let's try to solve this problem. Okay, so 1st July, Flyer Limited decides to lease an airplane from finance lease. So which means Flyer is the lessee, the one renting, and Finance Limited is the lessor, the one who actually owned the property initially and then rented it out to the lessee. Okay, so lessor will be the previous owner or the current owner, and the lessee will be the one to use it. Okay, lease term is 20 years and implicit rate of the lease is 10%. It is expected that the airplane will be scrapped at the end of the lease term. So which means when Flyer rented this property, there will be no additional expected life for the airplane. So which means the lease term is equal to the estimated useful life. Okay. The fair value of airplane at the commencement of the lease is 2,428,400. The lease is non-cancelable. Returns the airplane to finance lease at the end of the lease and requires a lease payment of $300,000 at the inception of the lease and lease payment of $250,000 on 30th June each year. No residual payment. So we are required to journalize the transaction for Flyer and Finance Limited. So this is Finance Limited and this is Flyer. Okay. So first instance is to journalize when Finance Limited had acquired the property. They acquired property for 2,428,400. Now, this is not required, as I mentioned to you. Most of the time, in financial reporting, they will not require you to calculate for the issue price. But be mindful that in business finance, you will be required to determine the present value. Okay? So in this case, we have 300,000, and then the present value of the 300,000 is 1. Someone will ask, Mister, why is it 1? You see, previously you calculated this and this, but here it's only 1. The answer, the payment was done when? It was done at the inception of the lease. So which means the present value of 300,000 now, when you consume it, is what? $300,000. Am I correct? Based on the calculation, the amount here now for 300,000 when you consume it is 300,000. Okay? But for 250,000, because you will pay this for number of years, okay, each year you will pay 250,000, using the present value factor, the amount now will be of course lower than the future amount. Okay? So that's why we call it present value. Okay? What is the present value of the amount of 1 million in 10 years, okay, after? We want to know how much. And then we have a discount rate. Okay, when using the discount rate, we determine that the present value factor of an annuity will be 8.5136. You multiply it, you will have this. Now, this is not required. This has not been asked by the problem, but I'm showing you how to calculate for the fair value, especially when you talk about lease. Okay. All right. So the first entry is 1, and then afterwards, finance and Flyer entered into lease agreement. So what Finance Limited will do, they will remove that asset. Okay, so it's showing in journal entry they are not the one holding the asset anymore. Okay, they are not the one who will use it. Okay, but they are expecting the one who will use it, they will pay. That's why they recognize as lease receivable. So debit lease receivable, expecting that the other party will pay, and then credit land and machinery, because we are removing that account to our books. Okay? So are we clear on this? Why they recorded this? Now, who's the one holding or you will be using the asset? That will be Flyer. When you go to Flyer, they have to record the asset. Okay? So debit lease plant and then credit lease liability. So here, this entry is showing that Flyer is the one holding the asset now, and you will be using the asset for their benefits and absorbing any risk that may happen. But they will pay who? Finance. This one will receive money, the other one will pay the lease. Okay? So are we clear on this? Right. Now, we know that Flyer had paid in advance, right? 3,000 kina. So that's something like down payment. Okay? So they paid. So debit lease liability, credit cash. So this one is easy to understand, right? So they paid liability, so they credit cash. Now for lessor, they receive cash. So debit cash and then credit lease receivable. Okay. So the reason why I actually presented it like this, okay, we have what we call reciprocal accounts. What is reciprocal accounts? Okay, something happening here, there should be an equivalent here. If there is a lease receivable, lease liability here, there should be lease receivable here. Okay, so if you compare this, that's the reason why I show it like this, is for you to check whether we are doing right. It's also a way for us to determine whether the amount will be correct. Okay, in a much complicated accounting work, this actually usually done, we call it reconciliation of due to from or due from subsidiary or associate. When you do this in big companies like maybe companies with groups, okay, let us say Coral Seas, okay, so these are actually reconciliation. When you do that, you're trying to test whether the amount recorded on one side is properly recorded on the other side. Okay, so this is the way that I'm doing it. Payment, so we already done payment, okay. And then the next step is to record the first amortization or the first payment of interest. Okay, so here the lessor will receive money, okay, payment 250,000, and then there will be credit lease, interest revenue, and then lease receivable. Now, question is how much? That's a good question. The answer, you try to determine the present value factor of the 250,000, okay, that will be 0.9091. This is the present value factor of the lease receivable that you pay. Okay, then the difference, you will have this. Now, if you try to calculate for that one, I'll just, okay, you try this, okay, 1 divide 1.1, okay, 0.90909090, okay, so 250, that's the present value factor of that one, multiplied by the present value factor. The amount that you're crediting here should be 227,275. Okay? So which means you have to calculate or determine the present value factor. Okay? Okay, we'll finish it off. Alright, so where are we now? Okay, so lessee will pay, so credit cash 250,000. So it's clear, huh? Now, when you try to cross-refer this, there should be, if here we have credit lease receivable, should be debit lease liability here. Okay, again, just checking. Okay, you will see the same amount, but on the opposite side. Okay, and then interest expense. Okay, for this. Then afterwards, now the lessee, take note, the lessee is the one holding the property now. So if he's the one holding the property and at the same time he's reaping the benefit and he may suffer any loss when something went wrong, he will be, or the lessor or lessee will be the one to recognize depreciation. Not the lessor, because the lessor, you can see here, they transferred the property to the lessee. Okay, signified by this journal entry. So debit lease depreciation expense and then credit accumulated depreciation. How many years? It's already been given 20 years. Okay. All right. So this is for that lease receivable. Okay. So lease agreement. Any question? Now, of course, I know you will be wondering this one. Okay. I'm really sorry. You have to calculate it every year. Okay. It's easy. In desktop calculator, what I usually do is 1 divide 1.1. 1.1 means 1 plus that 10%. Okay. So equals, that's the first year. You try to press the equal sign again. That's the second year, third year, and fourth year. Okay. I really like this. I'm not used to a scientific calculator, so I'm much better off like this. Alright, so any question?